Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another episode of The Blacksmith's Furnace with me, Robert.
With me, Pete.
Man like Mo, we out here, yeah? We out here.
Happy Good Friday and happy Easter in advance to all you guys. By the time you listen to this, Easter eggs will be half priced and I will have bought them all.
Oh,
I know we're talking about buying Easter eggs on Sunday. That's what you're talking about. You have to wait until they're down to 50p. Then you buy all of them.
do you know I'm actually going to go get Easter eggs on Saturday?
Why?
That's when I have my eldest. Yeah, I'm getting them because I've got my eldest, so I'm going to go get them with her. And then I'll take Leia with me as well. So yeah, I'll get them to just buy the Easter eggs.
Do you think there's any point getting the really big expensive ones, or you think that, you know, the Cadbury's ones are just all right for children?
Yeah, the Cadbury's ones are. I know they're not going to finish it, so it's just going to be a waste. It's just going to be a waste.
Who doesn't finish Easter eggs?
Bro, we had expired Easter eggs.
Oh.
That's how much they don't eat them. Like, we had them.
It's good. It's good.
They would nibble at them, and then it would just stay in the cupboard. And then we realized that, like, these have actually, they're gone off.
Yeah.
Easter eggs last like a year or two.
Yeah, I'm saying this is good. This is good. Like, let them not eat it, because
they're getting it for the novelty and for like the hype of the season. But like Leia doesn't like chocolate like that. Noah would back it. Noah would sit there and back it, given the opportunity. But Leia's not that way inclined. She won't have all of it.
It's good.
She's actually got an advent calendar that's still on top of the fridge. She hasn't finished it.
My advent calendar doesn't get past like this 5th.
Oh.
Yeah. Cool.
So what, you're opening like 2 days at a go?
No, I'm just eating it. Normally I feel bad eating the whole thing in one go, so like give it another day. But I don't do the whole 1 day.
No, we do it 1 day, one chocolate, and then like 1 week into it, she forgets.
1 day at a time.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was going to say, shall I start with the bad news or the good news?
Bad news
always.
Bad news. Cody Rhodes didn't win at WrestleMania.
What?
He was supposed to finish the story. He was supposed to get the title that his father never could, and his father died.
Why laughing? I shouldn't laugh. You just face that so bad.
His journey has been crazy. You know, he went from being a joke in WWE, went to go and start an alternative company, came back to WWE as a superstar. All he had to do now was win that WrestleMania, but then he didn't win. Oh, actually, this might interest Peter. WWE and like UFC. No, UFC have bought WWE.
I know this. UFC didn't buy WWE. The parent company of UFC, Endeavor, bought WWE.
That means UFC bought WWE.
Their specifics.
Exactly.
I'm just saying, no.
UFC bought WWE.
All right, okay. Casual.
Well, yeah. Anyway, focus. So that was the bad news. The good news: Moses joined church. Woo!
You're saying it like he just got saved.
This is exciting. Like this is the first time we've all been part of the same church, and it only took like 9-10 years.
True.
Who would have thought that this would ever happen? Not me.
Indeed. What do you mean not you? Why do you say it like that?
When Robert first joined, I was proper like, it would be better if all of us were in the same church.
You
know.
Yeah, it's just because like all the way back then we just seemed to be doing our own thing, and the only reason we were together was because of the podcast. You know, we had our separate lives, but the podcast is what brought us together.
And now our lives are intersecting a bit more.
Yeah, and now we can't even complain about our different churches because our churches are all the same.
Now when we come to the podcast and we start complaining, it's going to get awkward.
So we'll just give our gripes to Peter. Peter can take it to leadership.
And it's mad, yeah, because if anyone watches it, then they will know who we're talking about.
Facts.
There'll be no doubt. No,
Facts.
it's like, oh. And especially if it's something that just happened. It's like, oh, so Sunday, man just went on a necklace. It's like, yo. You know, as soon as I said that, I just had to go into the comments tab just to make sure that I don't miss any comments just in case something comes through.
Now, if we're going to say anything about church, we need to say it with our chest for real. Because the accountability is strong.
But to be fair, one of the times that I went there, Peter and I actually spent an episode dissecting a sermon.
Whose
So
sermon
the
was
good
it?
thing is now we're going to be hearing more sermons from all of you.
Yeah.
Not me, boy.
Yes, you, boy.
Boy.
Not me, boy. I know what my strengths are. Preaching is not one.
I saw Robert said he wanted to do more preaching.
He did say he wanted to do more.
I
And
did.
you're really good at I'm not even going to big you up because you're just fishing.
Who's fishing? I'm a fisher of men, not fisher of compliments.
Fisher for compliments. Magnetic earring wearing person.
Yo, taking them back. Let me take it. Let me get it again.
That was not needed. That was wrestling. And that came out of nowhere.
It's RKO. What's his name? Randy Orton. Is he still wrestling?
He is. He's injured at the moment, but he's still wrestling. Get well soon, Randy.
Did The Rock show up?
Wrestling.
People were saying that The Rock might show up.
He didn't show up. Fam, The Rock is just having a howl of a year. People just seem to be hating him more and more.
Yeah, because he ruined Shazam and DC in the process.
And now he's trying
He
to
didn't ruin DC.
And now he wants to do a live action remake of Moana.
What?
That's all he's got.
Yep.
What?
That's all he's got.
Oh, The Rock. Shout out Dwayne Johnson.
I mean, they're doing The Little Mermaid. They might as well.
Yeah, but the Little Mermaid's been out for like 100 years. Moana came out like 10 years ago.
Yeah, they could do it. They're not going to do a Moana 2.
I know, but you have to give some time before you do that to do this.
Nah.
Remake.
I think they can do it. Actually.
It's not going to be good.
If they just do like for like, I think they can do it fine.
No, but The Rock's not like that. I haven't even watched Moana, so I don't know. You know the big guy.
He is the big
Maui.
guy.
He is the big
he's the voice.
Exactly the big guy.
Yeah, but he hasn't got the body for it. So like, he'll do it, and then people will be like, "What? No, it's not the same."
No, but Maui is effectively The Rock drawn for kids without the mad six pack and everything.
Yeah, but he's like a beefy big person.
The Rock will be fine. He's Samoan. He's actually Samoan. And they could get Roman Reigns to do it or someone.
No, someone fat like Rikichi.
That man's like, he'll be fine. He's Samoan. That's like, oh, we need a black person. Oh yeah, just any black person. He's fine. He's black. What?
I actually meant the tattoos and stuff.
Yeah. I don't, because obviously in terms of a live action, it's not going to be like for like. It's going to be similar, but not like for like.
Well, that's the thing, though. I think
you say
well.
that with the Lion King, they did that like for like, just with real lions.
That was CGI.
That was CGI stuff. But still, yeah. I think the Lion King, actually, you guys make a good point. But I think the Lion King failed because it was
too realistic.
Yes, yeah. So it's that uncanny valley where you've got lions and stuff with human traits. It just starts to look a bit uncanny and unsettling. But like Aladdin, I mean, and as much as they hitched it on Will Smith, why did I say Aladdin? Aladdin. Was okay, kind of.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
That was quite bad.
Yeah.
I found out that the lady that plays Jasmine is Christian, so I don't hate it as much now.
Mad. That bias.
I know, right?
Hey, who's on the hot seat?
I was last week. So.
I was on it last week.
No. It was.
No, it was Peter last week.
Yeah.
Okay, you can be in the hot seat this week, man.
All right, bring it.
All right.
I've got a question.
But a man brought his purple book, you know. I'm about to say folder. This guy's jotting. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna start jotting down. Sorry questions during sermons now.
Not even, no. I just take notes, so it makes editing easier.
Do you know what? Yeah, I'm actually start doing that. I'm gonna start putting the questions to people's sermons and sorry, not sorry now.
Might as well.
And you man will know exactly whose sermon that is. And then it'll be a critique of the sermon, an indirect critique of the sermon.
I mean, for the most part, I would like to think people wouldn't be offended by that. Because I think we have a culture of, that. Being well, not critiquing per se, but I've definitely gone and said some stuff that would otherwise make people upset. So,
okay. That's good.
No. But anyway, yeah. So Mo,
yes, sir.
I picked alpha as my highlight because I've been hearing a lot about alpha male, sigma male, beta male, simp, all this nonsense. In
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about it. Top G is free. He's free.
Out.
He's producing best case.
What?
He's out. Yeah. He's out.
Oh, well, he's under house arrest, but he's free.
Who?
But the thing,
Andrew Tate.
She thought something's happened and I've missed it.
Mr. Producer.
Top G's out. He was held without any charges for months, just based on they just kept on extending this. Yeah, it was long, but yeah, alpha, sigma, beta.
Yeah, simps. Yeah. So the manosphere, and I just wanna get your take on where a Christian man should be. Should they be, quote unquote, an alpha, a beta, simp, a sigma, beta, simp, sigma? Where should they fall?
Domestic violence
in that.
They should be wearing wife beaters, coming like Ice Cube. Nah, I think from a Christian perspective, a biblical perspective, all of that is nonsense. And I feel like society thrusts its opinion of what a man should be so far up. Let me pick my words. So far up, so far down other people's throats. They ram it down other people's throats. But it's not conducive from the perspective of it is highly opinionated and it is reactionary in that there is this new toxic masculinity which went left. And then this alpha, beta, whatever is almost in reaction to that. And it's like, no, let's go back to the times that we were in, blah, 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 this and that. Without recognizing that biblical manhood, biblical masculinity and biblical manhood isn't a quote unquote alpha male. Jesus wouldn't be a quote unquote alpha male in a way that these guys are talking about in terms of wake up at 5 a.m. and bang push-ups and go to the gym and blah, 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 and this and that. He will spend time with God. He was washing people's feet. An alpha male ain't going to wash no one's feet. An alpha male isn't about servitude. Jesus came to serve. A simp is only about gal. He's simping for gal. That's essentially it. There's girls and he's doing anything to win the girls. Jesus didn't simp for gal. Like that didn't happen. Jesus wasn't this new form of masculinity wearing rainbows and blah, blah, blah. But equally, he wasn't this heavy, macho, like regimented sort of guy. He came to serve. He cried. Like he loved, he engaged with people. So yeah, if I take Jesus as the model for masculinity, which he is, and not just masculinity, but femininity as well, there is a balance between attributes and characteristics that a quote unquote man needs to have.
Can you speak more on? Can you speak more on Jesus being the model of femininity?
So no. So in terms of modern femininity, I'm looking at I'm looking at things like submission. I'm looking at things like obedience and sacrifice, because when we hear about the wife submitting to the husband as the church submits to Jesus, we also learn about submission from Jesus in the way that he submits to the Father. And so in that, it isn't Jesus is femininity, but he embodies something, because God is transcendent. God is neither male nor female. And in God, we can learn about both masculine and feminine qualities. And so with Jesus being the embodiment of God, in as much as physically he was man, he will still embody the triune God, who is neither male nor female. And so we can still extrapolate qualities that are for the feminine, even as they are for them, as others maybe more so for the masculine, by virtue of the physical body in which he was birthed into. And so in terms of submission, in terms of obedience, in terms of humility, I believe that biblically it is right for women to look to Jesus in doing that. In the same way, equally, men look to Jesus in how to submit to God, how to lead their family, how to serve. And so that's why I use that phrase in femininity. But that's more so in the divine sense, not in the humanity sense, because he embodies the triune God who transcends masculine and feminine. So yeah.
Follow-up question.
Yeah.
This is how serious, how not serious. Right? So with the Trinity, they're all together, but they're all separate, but they're all together. So why aren't God, Jesus, and Holy Spirit's pronouns they them? Because technically they are they them.
They are they them, and that's why they Elohim is a plural. In Genesis, let us make man in our image. So there is that language, that pronoun representative. And I know that some people have said that Elohim and the let us is the royal us as opposed to the plural us. But we do recognize that there is a Trinity, even in the function of the Godhead. But I think in the Christian sense, Orthodox Christian sense, the word God is encompassing of the Godhead. And so you wouldn't then have to almost individualize if you're speaking about the collective God. So some people will say God's self. Yeah. So I think I've actually heard people who will refrain from using masculine or feminine pronouns when referring to God because of everything that's going on now. They'll just say God's own self or whatever. They'll always refer back to God rather than himself or herself, which I know some people are very much, God is a she or whatever. But so yeah, they just say God.
I think
so
also,
what happens to God? So what happens to God the Father then?
well, that's the thing. So he presents himself as male, as does Christ. I think as does the Spirit as well, actually. But I think in part all the shenanigans with pronouns end up being less about sex or gender Well, no, sex, because gender is the one that is whatever, is fluid as it is now, as it were. But it's less about that and more about sexuality, and they equating somehow preferences and stuff with their identity, and so it's they, them, or she, her, or it's that, and it's all perverse, sexual. It's all a perversion of sexuality than it is any sort of real biological difference. And so when in reference to God, there is no need for this sort of gender neutrality, because on the one hand, he presents himself through his word as male, father, son.
Yeah, predominantly as male in terms of,
but then also he has no sexuality to speak of, to warrant the need for that or that sort of extraness. So
there are a lot of feminine descriptions or metaphors that God uses for himself. So it's like, I birthed you, I nourished you. Like even when Jesus was saying, like a mother hen, I have brooded over you. There are some of these feminine qualities that God attributes to himself, as well as the masculine qualities. And whenever it is suited God, he has used them interchangeably to make his point. So yeah, exactly.
There's a difference though between sort of speaking to, say, an activity, or when you speak of the attribute, speaking to something that God does, where the better metaphor is, for instance, a mother hen. I think there's a difference between that and between his presentation of himself through the word, his presentation of himself as a father. Like there's no, if it's God the Father, if Christ says my Father in heaven, if it's you see the Father to see me, there is a distinct, I've presented myself as a father. And even with Christ as well, if there is it's his son, not his son, he's Mary's son of man, all of these indications that clearly state he is a man, then in as much as there are feminine or attributes we would say are feminine that go to prove something he does, that doesn't then take away from his presentation as a man. And I think there is an overreaction, or an over, I don't want to say sympathizing, but whatever it is, there is, I think, moving in the opposite direction of trying to be super sensitive about some of these things with the gender of God, as it were, where I don't think it's a problem because it's clearly defined. And all of those things end up being in service of people that are super sensitive to that.
Can I throw a spanner? Not a spanner, but can I? So in Jesus saying my Father, he wasn't technically wrong because he had an earthly mother, but the quote unquote seed was divine. And so there was a physical mother, but a divine seed being put into Mary. And so technically he could call God dad by virtue of there not being a physical father.
But technically, wouldn't he be calling the Holy Spirit dad? Because wasn't it the Holy Spirit that came upon Mary?
True. But also, Holy Spirit sent by God the Father, my only begotten Son, because physically he was a son, he was a man.
Wait, are you saying? So I don't understand the spanner.
So my
he does say Abba, doesn't he?
Yes, and that my thing is that. So the spanner is almost. He had a physical mother, and so biologically, his dad is God.
No, but then Mary wasn't his biological mother.
Come again?
No, because the didn't. Hold on. No, the Spirit came upon Mary and became pregnant.
So she's his biological mother. She carried him.
You know, she carried him, but it's not
It
her
wasn't her
DNA
ovary.
inside
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's
It
one
wasn't. Wait,
one
it
part of
wasn't her
the
ovary.
that's one part of the argument. Yeah, that it wasn't her ovary.
It wasn't her egg.
Yeah.
It was like a holy egg.
Nah, I can't hold on to that.
But if you
Because
can't
it was
hold on to that, then you're suggesting there was a divine sperm.
Yeah. The Holy Spirit will
His God is only
overshadow
half God then.
No. The Holy
That's
Spirit will
interesting.
overshadow you and you will be with child. There wasn't intercourse, but there was divine insemination. The seed was placed in.
That's why I disagree.
So basically, are we saying essentially Mary was a surrogate mother? She just had an embryo placed into her to incubate for 9 months.
That's what I think.
That's what I think.
Nah.
Because I don't think it needs to be the biological process. Because if that was the case, then it needs to be a male. Otherwise, I don't think it has to be that biological process of insemination. I think you were the vessel. There was a child placed within you that then from that point on was human. I don't think Mary contributed DNA.
And I think the problem with if Mary gives DNA, like, can a holy sperm be with an unholy egg? Surely the holiness of the sperm would destroy the egg because of its unholiness.
But how can he be fully man?
In the same way that a virgin can get fully pregnant.
Touche.
No. But no, I joke. But actually, this is a big debate. Like, this is an ongoing debate, and I don't think I have the answer. Just there's an answer that makes sense in my head, and clearly there's an answer that makes sense in you guys.
Because my thing obviously is like, because in the genealogies and stuff, the genealogy that follows Mary being the incubator, based on essentially she's an incubator. She's like when a hen produces a chicken and an egg, and the egg is placed into an incubator.
Yeah.
And the incubator just takes care of the chicken and the egg. So essentially, Mary was an incubator where God placed himself into Mary as a fetus. Yeah. And it's like, incubate me for 9 months and birth me. Where I almost perceive the natural biological process being like taking place. I haven't given it that much thought, but it's like the actual biological process taking place, in that there was fertilization that happened. And Mary's egg, and so when he was born of a woman, taken
Because I've also thought, I mean, I don't know where you guys stand on original sin, because that's up for debate as well. But I've always thought part of the fallen nature of every child born is inherited from a biological defect introduced when Adam and Eve ate the fruit and died, as it were, such that we're all now succumbed to death. And then in addition to that, everyone sins and falls short, and thus everyone needs Christ. But I've always thought, because of that as well, that would introduce that element of sin via Mary into Christ, which I don't think he had.
I have a question. Do you think... Okay, I'll ask a question and then I'll explain why I'm asking the question afterwards, okay? So even though he didn't, do you think that Jesus could have sired children if he chose to? And would they have just been like normal children?
No, I don't think so. I think he could have, because he's God. He can do anything.
No. But in his form, in his like human form, if he has sex
if he was
with a woman,
fully human, yes, yeah.
So could Jesus?
And I also fully think when the Bible says he was tempted in every way that we are tempted, I fully think there were people there trying.
Yeah, no. That part's not important. Right. If Jesus has sex with a woman, could that woman become pregnant and have a baby?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that baby would have been Nephilim.
So, going back to biology lessons, go back to biology lessons. If that's the case, then Jesus Hold on. Let me get this right.
Careful, man.
No. Because like, if a tiger and a lion have sex and they have a baby, right? That baby cannot have children because it's from two different breeds.
Okay.
So Mary and God, technically two different breeds as well. And so if they had Jesus together, if God, hold on, I'm getting there. If God and Mary came together to create Jesus,
Yeah.
because they're two different species, Jesus wouldn't be able to have children.
Reproduce.
Yeah. So if he could reproduce, that must mean that the sperm and the egg must have been from the same species. That same species being God. Therefore, Jesus is not from Mary.
What?
This is one back equation.
What part did you not understand?
I hear what you're saying.
That last bit, I lost.
It was tacked on. I followed the train of thought.
That was like a hard left.
No.
Follow the train of thought.
Yeah.
God, if God and Mary came together to create Jesus, because they're two different species.
Yes.
If they came together, because they're two different species, Jesus would not have been able to sire children of his own. Okay, but because we believe Jesus could sire children of his own, that must mean that the sperm and the egg must have come from the same species. Therefore, both the egg and the sperm came from the godly species of God.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I still say no. I still say no to that specific statement, because if Jesus can lay his life down and take it back up, then he can produce life. By virtue of his divinity, he can produce life.
Yeah, but not in himself. Or he could in himself, but not out of a woman.
I mean, he raised the dead, so he produced life in other people.
No, there's difference between raising the dead and
there's difference between raising the dead and actually recreating and stuff. Yeah, but divinely, he could do that because
he could do anything he wanted to.
Exactly. But yeah, I haven't given it much thought. But in terms of the original sin, I had almost the way that it was explained to me, or I had heard it, I don't remember where from, but it's almost like it's through the Adamic line, which is like the male lineage. And so anything that is almost tainted by the male sperm becomes broken. But then by extension, it means women have male sperm in them, and so they inherit original sin. Which also means that Jesus was born with, however you want to see it, the trait, the defect, or whatever of original sin. Which would actually produce the ovary. If Mary produced the ovary, which would actually make his struggles more what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for?
Genuine? Relatable?
Yeah, genuine might be the thing. Might be, because if he was fully divine, in that it was a divine embryo and a divine sperm just placed in a human.
Is it if he was fully divine? Like, he isn't fully divine.
I mean, just fully divine and not fully human as well.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but he's fully divine within a human shell.
No, he's fully divine and fully human.
He's fully human, 200%. Fully divine and fully human, 100% God and 100% man. But if he's 100% man without original sin and without the defects, then he didn't really face the temptations that we did, because he's apart from it.
No, because
he is only righteous because let me not say only righteous, but it's like righteousness is when you are faced with temptation and you are able to overcome it.
Yeah.
But if you are fully divine and you do not face temptation, then you haven't overcome it. Unless the fallen nature of the flesh actually makes that the pull of that temptation. You actually feel the pull of that temptation because of the fallenness of your humanity.
Is original sin?
No, I don't think original sin is sin, because
okay, I
that
can see
then
that.
means that
Yeah.
every person who's born, if you're stillborn, you're going straight to hell, and I don't believe that. I don't believe a just God will send you to hell when you yourself haven't performed a sin. But if original sin automatically condemns you to hell, then arguably God is not just,
What
because
if
you
original
haven't,
sin is inherited biologically?
but you haven't committed the sin.
But you've inherited it biologically.
You,
You're
you've
only black
inherited,
because your dad's black.
yes, but I haven't played into the stereotype.
No, but regardless of that, if your dad being black precludes
Yes.
him from heaven, and you inherit that,
But we recognize that in God's kingdom and in God's nature, it isn't like the righteous will be saved by their righteousness and the sinful will be saved by their sinfulness. And God says, in as much as God says, I will punish the unjust to the fourth generation and I'll bless the just to the thousandth generation, it also says, if a righteous person sins and they die, they'll be punished for their sins. If an unjust person turns and becomes righteous and he dies, he will be rewarded for it. And so, in as much as you were born into sin, if you live a just life, you will get a just reward.
unless
And so,
your righteousness is then still like filthy
yes,
rags. So
yes,
I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit, because I see there's so many different arguments here that we're actually playing into. There is the whole, if original sin isn't sin, or if original sin is sin, then babies go to hell, and no one wants to agree with that.
yeah. I
But then
don't believe babies go to hell.
there's also then the age of accountability
Yeah.
that then addresses that, such that okay, babies aren't going to hell, but then there's still sin present, if that makes sense.
Yes,
So there's all these different
the
ways
way
of
that I
thinking that have
understand
addressed.
original sin, and this may be helpful, the way that I have understood, Robert's tapped out.
I'm trying.
The way that I have understood original sin is man is born with the disposition towards sin. Our natural inclination is towards sin, not towards righteousness. And so a kid doesn't have to be taught to start lying. All he knows is survival instincts. If I say yes, I'm going to get smacked for this. I'm going to get in trouble. So let me say no to preserve myself. I want self-preservation. I want the sweets, but daddy say don't take it. Can I sneak it? Because that's what I want. There's that selfish intent, which is the disposition towards sin. And that's how I've understood original sin to be, that we are born with a natural disposition towards sin. So if it's like a 180-degree line, one end is righteousness, the other end is sin.
Yeah.
We are born askew
Facing
90 degrees facing towards sin. So whether it's 88 or whatever, but we're facing sin rather than facing righteousness.
Yeah.
And so our natural inclinations lean us towards sin.
Yeah, which is a perfectly valid interpretation to hold. The other side of the coin, which is where I've held, is original sin is it automatically precludes you from God's presence because there is sin present. However, there is Adam and Eve, after eating from the tree, gained knowledge with which they knew they had done something wrong. They knew they were now naked. They knew, and thus there is an element of you sin when you are able to know that you have sinned. And so that's where that age of accountability comes in, where up until you are held or you are capable of knowing wrong from right, which was what the state Adam and Eve were in, up until that point you aren't dead. Even though there's original sin present, up until that point, that original sin can be ignored, or however God wants to do it, such that again, to help me sleep at night, I'm not thinking babies are going to hell. That also then ties into God saying, I will punish the unjust until the fourth or fifth generation, but the good I will bless to the seventh, because in those times the fourth or fifth generation are still present. they were probably still present. They're probably still participants in that sin. Thus, God is actually punishing everyone that was kind of part of it, as opposed to in the demonstration of how much more he seems to want to do good is, you'll bless your generations, and that blessing will then affect people that you have never seen. Whereas the punishment is for, it seems, all those that are present and participant in that sin. And so that's the alternative view. I'm sure there's like thousands others.
Probably.
I don't think any are more right or more wrong than the other. I think we'll find out when we get there.
Unless you're a Jehovah's Witness.
In which case, you're hoping that you're just part of 144,000.
And I do think it's almost like the elephant in the room sort of argument, where as humans we're blind and we're holding on to different parts of the elephant. And we're just like, no, the truth is this, when we're only holding on to the leg or the trunk or the tusk or whatever. So it is like, if we can figure God out, then he's no longer God.
What's the point?
That's my view has been original sin being almost a disposition and age of accountability. So it ties in with yours, because we still sin. Even at a young age, before we recognize it as being evil. And then when we recognize it at whatever age we do, then we're held accountable. And even in the Old Testament, it's like, if you sin unintentionally, or if you're unaware of your sin, as soon as you become aware of it, then you offer the sacrifices. That's sort of kind of held on to it, to be like, okay, cool. Yes, it is there. And I think that's why I've also held on to Jesus being the product of Mary, in that there is the real pool of sin in the humanity, but the divinity has almost is the pull in the other direction. And so when he dies on the cross sinless, the weight of his sinlessness is even heavier, because he felt the effects and the pull of being fully human.
I don't see again, just furthering the point, the other side of that, and I completely hear what you're saying. And again, I don't think any of these views are catastrophic in terms of faith. In terms of at the end of the day, we all recognize we need Christ anyway, so that's this ends up being extra. But I don't think that if Mary didn't produce the egg, that precluded Christ from real temptation, or from real feeling the weight of sin, especially as, if he was fully human and fully God. I think we all agree on that aspect of things. We're already talking about a miracle. We're already talking about something that defies any sort of biological or scientific logic anyway. Well, I do know that, I definitely do believe that he felt and was just as much capable of sin as a human being, probably of more sin also as God, but then lived a life that was sinless, and then made it all amazing.
And I definitely agree with that, in that the temptations after the fast, any of us could have bowed our knee or whatever, and it wouldn't have had an equal impact as Jesus doing it.
Absolutely.
And with Hebrews saying he's a high priest that has been tempted in every way that we have been, to me indicates that he felt the fullness of the temptation, the full pool of it and stuff like that. So
and if I can just say something for the listeners as well, I think where what you just pointed out there, the Bible says he was tempted in every way we were, and he felt the full pull. Anything before that is almost not important as to, can he feel the full pull if he's not produced by Mary, or can he not feel the full pull, whatever. All of that before that point ends up being extra. We can talk about that because we've got time. The Bible says he was tempted in every way, and so then it's like our views have to bend to what the Bible says. And I think that's a good thing for sort of biblical discourse. At the end of the day, there are certain things that we should be able to, once we hold that as true, recognize everything else ends up being fluff, on top of things.
Essentially. So, Yeah.
Someone wake Robert up.
I'm here.
45 minutes deep, you know.
I
Hey,
know.
5 minutes deep.
So first, sorry question.
Hey, you know what?
You know?
Let me not even do my sorry question. Let's just jump into the episode for today.
Stress.
That was a meaty one, you know.
That took all the twists and turns, bro.
That was a
Definitely
meaty
did
one,
start
and
from
it
Alpha
drew all of
too.
us into it. Yeah. I even forgot we started from Alpha. But yeah, oh sorry. In terms of the Alpha question, what's your thoughts on my response?
I wasn't looking at it from that point of view. There's of course, all of that. I definitely agree that all that is nonsense. The whole alpha, beta, simp, and I agree with your presentation of Christ. At the end of the day, he was. So yeah, it was because he said that, and then the femininity. That's why we went into that side of things. But no, at the end of the day, Christ presented. Crying when he knew Lazarus was when he saw the effect Lazarus' death had on his people, and even then, more so crying, knowing that he's going to lift him up.
Thanks.
Like that's a man that's completely in tune with his emotions, as it were. But then he's also the guy that was slapping people around and turning over tables when the situation called for
whipping them, in the temple.
Exactly. And that same guy, as you said, washing feet. So I completely agree with the presentation of Christ as man, as masculine, doesn't even need to bow down to any of these categories. I think when I asked the question, I was like, oh, if you had to put him in any of these boxes, where would you? But again, I think you gave a valid answer. Like, none of these boxes are important anyway. So
yeah, he wouldn't fit into any of them.
Yeah,
he wouldn't fit. And in your description as well, I really want to add, like, Jesus talked about his problems. He mentioned to his disciples when he felt anxious, when he was burdened with different things, but he also prayed about them. He prayed, in as much as he spoke to, so in terms of like counseling, having godly counsel around you, blah blah blah, but Jesus still prayed. Like, he prayed to the point where his sweat was like pools of blood. Like, he committed his stuff to prayer, and he spoke to people about it. So when you're like, real men don't feel real men, hard as nails. Nah, like Jesus, he cracked through that. So yeah. Robert, over to you, man.
We're breaking free, soaring, flying. Anyway. So this week, maybe last week, Andrew and I got introduced to a new show on Netflix. It's not a new show, but we've been introduced to it.
Fam, when you said Andrew and I got introduced to you, I thought this conversation was going left.
Why?
I thought you were about to talk about the ABC thing that we were talking about the other time.
No,
ABC of Kinks.
Oh, no. It's on the same line.
Oh, dear Lord. Oh, dear God.
I preempted it, boy.
No, the show is called Sex Life. Right?
I think I heard of it. I think I heard of this one. I saw a headline of an article, something about sex/life or life / yeah. Okay.
That's the one.
I didn't read it, so I was like, oof. But yeah.
So the premise is there's this stay-at-home mom. She's living like the quote-unquote perfect life, She's got a doting husband who's like perfect in every way, loves on her, lovely, all of that. She's got 2 children, just given birth, but she's feeling dissatisfied, and her mind keeps going back to her ex-lover, and the sex with her husband's all right, but it wasn't the fiery, intense stuff she was having with the ex-boyfriend. And
I shall.
Rob, you don't know how crazy. So if you're gonna watch this with your partner, because there are very graphic sex scenes in it. So don't watch it by yourself unless you're.
Yeah, I'm not watching it.
And so she's started writing this like diary on her laptop, just to get all of these feelings out, right? And then her husband finds it. And then he starts imitating the things that he's seen her write about her ex-boyfriend, just to try and spice things up a bit. And it's all a mess. And then the ex-boyfriend comes back into her life as well. And it's all over the place. Like, I've watched 3 episodes. Oh, hello, babe.
That's it. That's it.
I don't know if I need to edit that out, to be honest.
Do you know what? Yeah,
That sounded kind of.
as soon as you say stuff like that, it's just like, yo, what's behind the screen?
You will never know. Even I was your wife.
Robert sounded like he was about to end the podcast. Like,
but anyway, it's wild. It's wild. There's the sex all over the place. There was one scene having sex in the car because she's a mother now. They're trying to get on with it, but breast milk is squirting out of her breast and everything. It's crazy.
That's mad, man. So you couldn't.
so they said this is on Netflix.
A breast
Netflix.
Yo, it's kind of crazy what's on there, you know.
And then,
you
then one time,
like on a Netflix account, on their accounts.
Sorry,
you can like put age ratings on a different accounts.
Yeah, you can. But I mean, the reason that it scared me was because sometimes Z will take my phone, and on her tablet, she's got her own profile that doesn't have access to Netflix. But if she goes onto my phone, for instance, she might go and then try to look for Grizzly and the Lemmings or some Cocomelon or something on Netflix. And anyway, yeah.
She might see some melons if she's not careful. No, I'm saying.
No.
I think she might see some melons. Mad.
And then there was one scene. The husband went to go and follow the ex-boyfriend. Just like I think he wanted to have a conversation. Because like after a while, I think it's getting to him that he has to pretend to be like the ex-boyfriend to get his wife to feel like wanted or seen. And so he follows the ex-boyfriend. He goes to this like exclusive gym. He's like, oh, let me get day pass. The lady was like, no, sorry, you have to get £600 a month contract. Like, oh yeah, let me get it. Goes buy the clothes. And then he goes, does the workout. All this time, still doesn't talk to the guy. And then they hit the showers, yeah? And then the ex-boyfriend turns around and he is huge. When I say huge, I was like, yo, this guy's half horse, bro. And then the husband sees it. The guy leaves. And then he's just there against the wall like
That's the day you cancel your membership. Car, regardless of how much you bench, it's not.
Rob, I was like, yo, that thing is, it was like
you guys get a sense of the size from the.
They showed the whole thing.
Really?
The whole thing.
Oh gosh.
And like, you know how people joke about having a third leg? This guy had a third leg, bro. That looked like it would be internal damage, bro. Crazy. It was wild. Anyway, so we got put onto the show by another couple. So like, as we go through the episodes, we're like discussing like discussing it from like a marital perspective on dissatisfaction with their marriages and blah blah blah, all of that good stuff. And one of the things that came up was I don't know if you've heard about the term the Madonna whore complex.
The who?
The Madonna whore complex.
No.
Okay, so Madonna whore complex is this idea. I think it was Sigmund Freud that came up with it. Is the idea where there are men who can only ever see their wives as the Madonna, like the mother of their children, and if they see them in that light, then they can't see them as a
sexual object.
A sexual object. You know, and so. Yeah, so I only see the wife as a mother, but not as someone they can be sexually active with. And and like apparently this is like a whole thing. And it was talking about how like just in general, women like men in general can only ever see women as like the innocent, nice girl. Or like the super freaky freak. It's kind of hard for guys to mesh both into their minds. The two things together at the same time.
Which guys?
And so we're discussing this, and we're discussing like the effect the church has had on this view that men may have of women. When it comes to like purity Men, look at your wives as pure. Be pure with your wives. And when it comes to the bedroom, they then can't make that switch to seeing them as this is someone I can have sex with freely, as long as there's no animals or dead people or other people. Let's get on.
Dead people. Wow.
Well, this is the thing, though. That's why Robin's like,
I don't know why I said dead
people. Like, Robin's
Man,
cool.
dragging
Yes,
in
people
living
dead
people.
people.
Man's dragging in a corpse to the bedroom. What's going on tonight? Oh, you're gonna find out.
Well, yeah. So I wanted to have a discussion. I don't even have time to how we deep we can dive into
Thankfully
this.
not. Thankfully not. This is a Smash Bros episode.
Yeah, bro.
Oh yes,
We can-
firstly, what are your guys' thoughts on this whole Madonna whole complex thing? And do you think it's true? Do you think it's as big as a problem as it's been made out to be? Within the context of like Christian marriages.
So okay, I'll let you go first.
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
So I think I kind of for me it raises two potentially three two definite issues. First one being the real benefit of not having sex before marriage, where you don't have that comparison, you don't have that sense of, oh, but Bob did it like this or whatever, or
I did.
he touched my neck and I melted or whatever. There's not that comparison. There isn't that for a lack of better word, a yardstick that you're measuring him against.
Yo, sometimes you need 2 yardsticks, bro.
So like there isn't that backlog. But also for me it raises the it also raises the point of explicit content. Because I, not particularly with gems, but I recognize that because of explicit content and because of, I grew up in Ghana and most of the explicit content I saw was of white people. So I grew up seeing Black women as more as like my sisters, my mom, like these are people. And I saw white gal as, nah, you're just here to get banged out. Like that's because all the explicit content I saw was just them getting hammered out. So there was that differentiation for me. And so there was a sense of, nah, yeah, like Black girls are cool, but it's the white girls that you want. God, them man are freaky. I don't know, my voice changed. And so even the way that I viewed women simply by their race was altered by the explicit content that I was exposed to. And so it isn't necessarily the Madonna whore complex, but recognizing how explicit content has shaped my perception of women and what women can do. And thirdly, it raises the necessity of discovering and enjoying your partner and you and growing in the fullness of what the relationship is. So it's like communication, like integrating your lives, whether emotionally, physically, sexually, spiritually, really integrating your lives as you grow in your marriage, to ensure that even if it's a case of now that we've had kids, for the woman, her body has changed slightly and she doesn't quite enjoy how you guys were intimate before. She would like to explore it differently. If your communication isn't in a healthy space where she can express that, then there's going to be a crisscross of information or just what you understand intimacy to be. And then there'll be a widening gap. And so growing with each other as you grow in your marriage is definitely a major key to kind of keep things mutually enjoyable and beneficial. So yeah, those three things for me kind of come out immediately.
Yeah, similarly, I think definitely that whole idea of virginity and sort of as it seems to be presented in the Bible, ideally your wife is your first and you are her first sort of idea. That definitely comes to play in one area where maybe the Bible presents, well, not even maybe, the Bible presents a better alternative to what the world is suggesting, because that scene you describe of them in the showers, it's like, how do you move on from that? Because that's something you can't do anything about. Like, no matter how many weights you bang, no matter how much you try to imitate this person, that's something you can't. I mean, the surgery.
The stroke game is still slacking.
You know, that's, and it's not even because your stroke game, your stamina, it's the equipment you were handed. It's just not the equipment this person was handed.
You know what? Yeah, I heard this one joke. It was peak. A guy broke up with his girl, and his ex got a new man. And one day they were at a party. The girl was there with the new man. Obviously, this guy's still hurting, so he threw a couple drinks at the back of down his throat. He got that liquid courage, went up to the new guy and was like, "Oh, how does it feel sleeping with my leftovers?" And the new guy goes, "Oh no, it's cool, because after 2 inches, it's practically brand new."
Oh, dear Lord.
You got slayed.
Oh no.
Fatality.
Oh no. That's like emotional damage.
Emotional damage.
That would sober anybody up real quick. What?
But yeah, so it's like, you know, that's why the Bible's prescription. Oh my God, that's why the Bible's prescription seems much better. You know, much better than the world's. Go and have experience. You speak about top guy. You speak about top G. And actually, I don't know if this is top G's thing. I think it was the idiots on Fresh and Fit that were saying this. Was that, oh, by 30 you should have slept with 50 women or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was
that being his prescription for what it takes to be a good guy. It's like, this is clearly 1, juvenile, 2, stupid, 3, demonic. Anyway, the other side of that is what was I going to say? I'm coming to a place where I actually think people should have got married much younger. I think the whole thing with Paul saying, if you can't deal with those emotions, you know, marriage is a solution. One of the solutions to, you know, the raging hormones that you go through. I think, if I think about the way maybe it was designed, you grow up, you have your childhood, you hit puberty, you start maturing. By the time your hormones start going crazy, you should get married. And that should be, you know, till death do you part, ideally. Because then, again, you don't have all these things to compete with. You don't have someone's past to compete with. And anything you guys are doing together, hopefully. So, as with all things, sex is something that you get better at the more you do it. So if you are literally the best she's ever had and she's the best you ever had, you're both having the best, you know, and there's no need, you know, comparison is a thief of joy or something like that. There's no need to go and then look for something else, you know, and then all these things get removed, or all these problems don't become real things. So yeah, those are the sort of things that came to mind. But this show sounds just wild.
Wild.
It is wild. I
was gonna say as well, especially from the chat. I do, and again, this is like speculation, observation type stuff. But I feel like hookup culture is part of the reason why I'm like pushing marriage back, where there's sexual freedom and like just being promiscuous and stuff. I don't need to settle down, because if I'm horny, I can just hook up with someone and just kind of do what I'm doing and then kind of keep it moving. So I don't need to commit to fulfill the sexual urge. And there's a sense of fear, or what if I make a mistake and blah blah blah, this and that. But what I was going to say was the purity culture within the church sometimes overemphasizes virginity to the detriment of the glory of God. So your virginity almost becomes an idol, in that you feel like, this is what I must keep. My virginity is my purity almost. And that's not the case. That's not the situation. Your virginity isn't your purity. Jesus is your purity. And arguably your virginity is for your own benefit, bro. Like it's for you, so you don't go through all of these problems. And it's also a way in everything that we do is a response of gratitude to what God has done for us. And yeah, your virginity is definitely something that is more of a benefit for you as opposed to God is pleased with it. Because yeah, you get into a relationship as a virgin, hopefully both of you are virgins, then as we've said, it's you two building your sexual experience with each other. But if you're not, then you're coming with a whole load of sexual baggage. You could have an STD you don't even know about.
Yeah. And I mean, that extends to everything: emotional, sort of maturing, building things together as a unit. Like, there's so much more oneness that can be attained if you guys get there together, as opposed to now they're looking for a high value man that has everything, and they can just come and sit and be one of many sister wives. But yeah,
these times all they bring is an OnlyFans account.
They don't bring anything to the table because they are the table.
And the chair.
That's what they be saying.
That's what they be saying. That's what they be saying. Literally.
That makes no sense whatsoever. But the
imagery is deep.
Oh, yeah.
So, what would you guys, or what advice would you guys give to anyone who feels like they're stuck in this thing where they can't see their wives as, or even their husbands as an object for their sexual desires to be directed towards?
The other thing I was going to say there with the whole Madonna whore complex was people the presumption that the church, well, not the presumption, an error I think the church has made has been sort of cordoning off anything to do with sex as sort of taboo and not wanting, and that's, you know, in part the purity culture. All of that is all, I think, symptoms of that, because I mean, Song of Solomon doesn't sound like a not sort of freaky person, or doesn't sound not freaky. You know, the things they're talking about there. So there's definitely an aspect of
get freaky with you.
There's definitely an aspect of marriage that the church should be presenting that is also, no, you guys should get, you know, this should be your everything. And again, if you haven't had all these escapades before and this is your first time, then, you know, I don't think that would be as much a problem, because, you know, this is all you got, so it has to be both.
Do you know what? Yeah, even like, we don't even need to dip into Song of Solomon's, like Proverbs. I think it's Proverbs 5. It's like, don't go drinking from every sister. Drink deep from your own. Enjoy the wife of your youth. And I think that even speaks to what you were speaking about. The wife of your youth. And it's just like, yo, drink deep. It's like, bro, enjoy it. Enjoy it.
In terms of people that might be struggling with it, I mean, all these things said, the reality of the situation is very few of us get to do things that way. The prayer is that the next generation would be better. We're raising people that would be better. That's definitely the prayer. But if you're in that position, I think articulating it, as Mo, you said, sort of the communication is important. But then also, I think praying about it, because the way you see your wife or the way you see your spouse can very much be something that the spirit can influence, and that the spirit needs to influence, especially if you aren't able to see them both as your mother and as your sexual. No, not your mother.
The mother of your children. Bear incest.
The mother of your children. And your sexual partner. I think you definitely need to pray about it, and then you need to articulate it. Whether that's communicating it to, I don't know if it's communicating it to your spouse, just being honest and transparent. Of course, making sure that the relationship is in a place to handle that. And
picking your words right. It's like, now that I've had kids, well. I don't find you attractive. I saw the baby's head pop out of you, and then it was
slap yourself if you want to say that, because no, either that or articulating it to like a trusted pastor or therapist or someone that can help walk you through it, because your partner definitely has to be both things for you, unless you want to go and have a polyamorous relationship where you've got the mother that you treat like that, and then you got the whore on the side that you treat like that. If that's your case, then go and burn in hell, innit? But
and the problem, it's something I guess you can manage, but in doing so, you are missing out on, you're almost missing out of like being wholly married to this person. If you've sectioned off this part, then you're not allowing yourself to see or experience your spouse,
the fullness of the marriage.
You're not truly one.
I would also add, I think P has touched on everything that I would say. What I would say is literally just an elaboration on one part. From what I have experienced and witnessed, is most of the sexual issues that you will have a psychological history. And so if there are certain things you don't want to do, or there's certain things that you can't get out of your head, there is a psychological history there. And so I would definitely encourage therapy in actually sifting through these things. I feel like I'm such an advocate for therapy at the moment, because you may have had an experience with your mum, or have observed something between your mum and your dad that has left you with that image or whatever. I don't know. But almost likely there is an underlying issue that is triggering that perception. And so dealing with that in prayer and therapeutically is definitely the course of action that I would say. In addition, and as you do that, from that space of prayer and therapy, communicating with your spouse much clearer and like where things are at. Because without those two ingredients, I think if you try to communicate to your spouse, you might do more damage than good.
When it comes to therapy, would you always suggest a Christian therapist over a non-Christian therapist, or do you think that each has their place?
So
I think Mo's the expert on this, so I'll let you. Can I go first, and then you can you can sort of close off, because I definitely would say Christian therapist, because I think one thing that for a Christian therapist, because I think one thing that therapy does is definitely helps you go back and uncover unresolved issues and things. But I think something that a non-Christian therapist will lack is the thing at the back of their mind, that in as much as they're going through all of these things, they are dealing with someone that is also a child of God, which carries its own things that affects those things that you're uncovering. So you're going back and you're looking at all these things that might make you feel like I'm not worthy, or might make you feel like how can I change, or might make you feel like, oh, I'm so broken. But then all of those things are still covered by your Christianity, which a non-Christian therapist will not have sight of. And so that's why I would always say, if you're going to go for therapy, it should be a Christian therapist. But then I know, that's why I want to drop that in. But yeah, Mo, take it away.
I think take it away. Off the bat, I would like to say, go for a Christian therapist. But in practice, the therapeutic relationship is one that the relationship kind of trumps the background. In that, if you're speaking to someone that you can't necessarily vibe with, then you may not be as open and fully present. And so there needs to be some sort of a harmonious relationship between yourself and your therapist. You may have that good relationship with a non-Christian than to a Christian. And so the therapeutic relationship itself is very important to kind of take into consideration. And I have found it so beneficial. So I'm currently in therapy, and I have found it so beneficial. And I'm doing therapy through the NHS. So this is like non-religious. This is just everyone. Bro, and I have found it so beneficial to introduce my faith into the therapy session. To actually be like, yo, I'm struggling this week because I am going to preach a sermon and I am feeling X. And then unpacking that in that space. For me personally, it challenged me to almost witness in the middle of my pain and to bring God up and to. So when my therapist is like, oh, but this and that, and I was like, yeah, and then like in my faith, I kind of believe this and believe that. And so I am now, and bro, as a therapist, he's being paid. He can't dismiss what man's saying. You need to sit there and hold it. You need to sit there and hold it, like sit here and hold it. And so, yes, sometimes it is beneficial to be able to sit with another Christian who you don't need to unpack certain things. You can just kind of go into it and to just kind of like just unpack it. But what I have also found is, what I found helpful is praying after my therapy sessions. And so there's almost like this dual nature of me speaking to this person, like primarily psychotherapy and stuff like that, and then going into prayer right afterwards. And there's also, I do get the sense of there are many benefits of introducing your faith into a therapy session, even if it isn't a Christian counselor, both for yourself and for the person you're speaking to. And yeah, I am for both. I am for go to a Christian counselor. I have had Christian counseling. And it was weird, and I'm mindful of time, but it was weird. When I went for a Christian counselor, there were some doctrinal bumps that I was like, yo, bro, nah, let's rewind this. Let's talk about this. And so that almost jolted me out of the therapeutic session, because I'm like, nah, bro, your therapy, your theology is off. I can't move because I'm operating based on this wavelength, and you're not meeting me there. But in like a non-Christian therapy session, there wasn't any of that. Obviously, he may have his perceptions of God or interactions with Christianity, blah blah blah, this and that he may need to meander through. But he's not a Christian, so he's not there paid to disprove that God exists. You just gotta sit there and hold it. So yeah, I found both beneficial, but currently non-Christian, and it's been super beneficial to bring my Christianity into it and giving me space to pray afterwards. So yeah, go however you kind of feel led. There is benefits to both, and I guess it depends on your disposition as a person as well.
Yeah. Cool. I think that'd be nice to round up.
Yeah. An hour 20 deep. I'll give or take.
I was listening to a sermon the other day about the qualities of a holy husband. Got a lot of work to do. One of the things that the guy was talking about was the grass isn't always greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it. So water your wife with your juice golden showers. Overflow into her orifices.
Rivers of living waters.
I'm not gonna
drizzle it all over the gaff.
Come on, to the windows, to the walls.
So my hookup is Man of Recaps. It's a YouTube channel, but he does very, very good recaps of stuff. So if you're like me and you haven't got time, but you still want to get some of the stories that some of these things put out, he's got recaps on stuff like the Star Wars films. He's got recaps on various series, Walking Dead, Game of Thrones. Instead of wasting part of your life watching these things, just go and watch a recap. You get the full story and all the enjoyment therein with knowing whatever it is that whoever does. So yeah, go check that out. Man of Recaps on YouTube.
My hookup is an album. Yeah, I was gonna go preach a while back, which didn't happen. But as I was prepping for preach, I started listening to the old Shy Lins and them that I was listening to, and it had me feeling mad self-conscious because I remembered how much I used to be in that theological space. but I'm not in that space in terms of study wise. But then I started listening to my Don propaganda. It's like, yeah. It reminded me that everyone has his own lane. And I was like, yeah, nah, this is good. So my hookup is propaganda, and the particular album is called Crooked.
Okay.
Propaganda, Crooked. So yeah. Robert's out here smiling. I don't even want to ask what he's looking at.
If you recommend Sex Life, I'm gonna edit it out. Literally.
I'm not gonna recommend that. I was told it because I don't know if I have a hookup this week. Sorry, my mind's gone blank. No, actually, no, I don't have a hookup this week.
You could hook up your barber, but maybe don't, because of what he's done there.
Unfortunately, you don't have a barber to hook up, do you, Peter?
I did not check on my bases. I don't know. That was a joke I can make. I still get my beard trimmed every now and then.
It was above your pay grade. Hey, you could hook up KR. You could hook up the KR.
Oh yeah, KR's got a book. Let me find it. So in our church, there's a man. His name is KR. He has a new book out, Activated for Ministry. I don't know if is it out on Amazon yet? Oh, it's out on Amazon.
Yeah.
So yeah, his name is Kjell-Roar Johansen.
Yeah.
So Peter will put a link in the description.
Yeah.
Go check it out. Show him some love. Make him rich. Come on, guys. Let's get him to 100,000 books sold.
So you can tithe more.
And Peter put a affiliate link so from the money can contact. Okay.
Okay.
Now you better put the affiliate link, you know.
Because we just go and get affiliate links like that. Like
yeah. Just get an affiliate link, bro.
Anyways.
Wake up, PR. The tech person.
Ordinary Amazing needs an affiliate link with Amazon.
And I need royalties.
Okay, guys.
We'll split it. It's cool.
Okay, guys.
If Peter, if you feel bad about doing this, Moses and I will just split the money between us, and then just can be clear.
we'll tithe your third. It's cool.
Oh, I had the question I wanted to ask. There's no more time. I think it's a genuinely interesting question, but I'll say it for another time. Remind me.
We've gone 122. What's another 8 minutes?
Okay, so you see, I think it's in James. It says that you ask, but you don't receive because you ask with impure motives, right? Listen to this, all right? Here's the idea. What would happen if I prayed for Peter to win the lottery? Peter, you prayed for Moses to win the lottery. Moses, you prayed for me to win the lottery. And we generally hope that each of us wins the lottery. And we have a pure motive for wanting each other to win the lottery. Is that a way to game the system? To each win the lottery.
Man said game the system.
because it's the general desire for us all to become rich.
And that is your downfall.
What do you mean?
System, that phrase right there is your downfall.
It's only this. It's only phrase I can think of.
That game, that phrase right there is the downfall. Because God can make you rich in other ways.
But I want money.
Like God can legit make you rich other ways. The fruits of your hand, inheritance, all of them things. Obviously, someone's got to die for inheritance. That's peak. But like, there's other ways. And I do think God will be more invested in our stewardship over the abundance. And so how we handle the abundance that he's given us more so than us having the abundance. And so I would perceive, and I could be wrong, I would perceive God almost shaping us to be faithful in little as he's building us up to more, rather than giving us the more and then losing it. And then I mean, he could do that. He's God. He can do whatever he wants. But yeah, I see it as being faithful of a little and then you're given much. So, I mean, you could bang the lottery and that could be the little, and then you can be faithful with that and then it multiplies and you can get more. You could argue it like that. But yeah, I don't think that would work.
I think we should try it and see what happens.
There is also the fact that there are other factors to answered prayer. Outside of motive, there is God's will, and whether or not what you're asking for things. So you're praying, even if I hope with all pureness, not trying to game the system, but just hoping that, you know, you guys become rich. But then God is looking at it like, if he gives Robert this money, Robert's going to like turn away from the faith.
I won't. I promise. I promise.
For your good.
I promise.
I'm just gonna keep you broke. So
God, please. I'm sorry. I'll be good.
Bro, it's the prayer in Proverbs 30 that really gets to me, you know.
Yeah, just enough.
Don't make me rich,
just
that I may forget you. Don't make me poor, that I may rob and profane your name. Just give me enough.
You know what? I think that verse is missing from the NIV. Well, I see that one. And I hope I never do.
Yeah, man.
All right, let's round up. Shout out to Rude with intro outro music, Commenter, the Audrey Amazing logo. Twitter at The Furnace UK, Instagram at TBS Furnace, email tbsfurnace@hotmail.com, soundcloud.com/Black no apostrophe, on all good podcasts and websites and apps, the Black Furnace with an apostrophe, and that's it. So this is the Black Furnace signing out. Bye.